Hello, and welcome back to Monifactory. Right back where we left off in the last episode, we just finished building the electric blast furnace, which allows us to smelt aluminum, and aluminum is what we're going to need to progress into the MV tier to craft those machine holes and everything. But we still have quite a lot to do in LV before we can actually even do anything with that. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go mining, but we're not going to go mining for iron first. If you see here, we have two more bronze machines, more steam machines that we can build. And these are big steam multi-blocks that are actually going to run better than our LV machines and even all the way up to HV. So for example, this is a macerator basically, and we're going to use it to crush ores down. Crushing ores is basically going to double them, so we can take all that iron that we're going to be mining up and ore double it, so that we get, well, double up. But the problem with these steam machines is we're going to need some more copper for sure, because they do take quite a lot of bronze. We need to craft a whole bunch of these steam machine casings, which are going to be the main multi-block block that we use for these. I did notice that we are going down on the steam instead of up, so I may need to add some more of these steam boilers to boost that back up while we're running all of these machines. We also need some of these bronze machine casings, which are still made out of bronze. These are just going to be used for the input and output slots that we have going on. Oh, if I could read, we actually don't need 3 for this one, because this one does not require 1, just a bunch of bronze instead. Okay, so we will, however, need an input bus and an output bus. And then we need a steam input hatch, which is going to act as the power supply. And then for the steam grinder, controller itself, we need a new alloy, and this is potent, made with copper, tin, and lead. Alright. I'm gonna make just enough to get us the 2 gears that we need for this. Then we can cast a couple of gears with the alloy smelter. And we can craft the steam grinder. I'm gonna pop this right down where it has access to steam. So we'll put this steam input hatch in the back right corner, connected to our huge pipe, and build the rest of this guy up. Looks pretty simple. Throw our input and output bus somewhere too, and bonk. Okay, now in this machine, we'll be able to put the ores that we're getting in. For example, let's take some of our lead and toss it in the input bus. And assuming that we're able to keep up with steam, which it seems like it for now, we should start getting some crushed lead eventually. This is going to crush 8 of these ores at a time. It's not super fast, but the bonus is that it does 8 of them at the same time. That's why it will be better than all of the macerators up to HV. So there we go, we got 16 crushed galena out of the 8 that we put in, and then we can smelt this up. So that is how we're going to double our ores for now. There will be better ore processing situations in the future. But now I feel better about going to get some more iron and smelting it up for all these machines we need now. Actually, maybe I'll get the other copper machine first. So I'm going to get to work on that. I probably need even more bronze than I have right now. But now potentially we can get way more copper out of what we're mining, so that I can build this other steam machine, and then eventually more iron out of what we're mining for all of those LV machines I need. Jeez. It's just one thing after another in this. With our steam machines, we can also have these output bus automatically output the items it's making. And then if we select the output side, it's doing it again. In theory, it should go out. Item output enabled. Yeah, there we go. So now instead of getting stuck in here, we can fill up this barrel. I believe I have everything ready in order to craft the steam foundry. Maybe I can sneakily squeeze this in next to the macerator. Bonk. Yippee! Okay, they both still work. This looks a little janky, but it's fine. This is basically going to act as a alloy smelter, and the same way that our crusher works, it's going to do 8 of these at a time. So we can make steel a lot faster in this, which will be very nice in crafting all of these machines we need now. Oh, I understand now. Oh, that's why everything got easier after the update. Oh. So bad news, when the pack updates, you have to re-add the hard mode switcher and switch it back again. Which would kind of explain why everything got really easy after the update. Like, making steel in the alloy smelter, not an option anymore. I need my blast furnace back. Wrought iron, back to nuggets. It's terrible. Also, the worst thing is, hardcore neural networks, we're not able to do it. It's disabled. It's completely turned off. You can't even craft the... So that means we're going to need a different method of resource generation in the future. This really sucks that everything is going to be more difficult now, though. Okay, it's a new day for me. What was I doing? Sorry if this is all over the place. I'm kind of, readjusting, ever since I have to change plans with the hard mode being back on. Was I making a stoneworks? Yes. But I'm not sure I want to do that now. I think I want to set something else up first. Maybe I'll come back to that. Sorry for being all over the place. One of the core components we need to make these machines that we're crafting is rubber. Right now we're crafting rubber sheets from making rubber ingots, from alloying sulfur and raw rubber pulp. And rubber pulp is compressed from sticky resin. But that is a lot. So now in LV, we have the option to chemical react sulfur and rubber together to get liquid rubber, and then we can assemble this onto our wires to get the cables that we need for crafting. So this may be a better option than having to hand input all of the sulfur, rubber pulp, all of that mess. So this is something that we're going to want to set up to get these wires easier so we can craft lots of machines, because wires are something that we're always going to need. So if we can have some of these things being passively crafted, then that will be amazing. So obviously we're going to need an assembler for the cable crafting itself. We want a chemical reactor for making the rubber, a centrifuge for making the raw rubber pulp, and then sticky resin is what we're going to get out of these trees. I don't think we have a way of getting those super fast right now. Unless we make phytos, but I don't think that's a viable option right now. And then sulfur, we're going to ore process with our large steam machines, and we're going to build another one of these here in a minute, but we'll get to that soon. And then I actually want a second assembler, but we're going to get to that also soon. Let's focus on rubber right now. While we're waiting on crafting up our rubber processing line, I'd like to take a look at the steam separator. This is another steam multi-block that's going to act as a centrifuge. And we're going to use this in our steam ore processing line. So what we can do is with this crushed ore, we can actually throw it back into the macerator. Now ignore this, these chance dusts that are here. We can't actually get those in this tier. But throwing it back in the macerator is going to get us impure piles. And then we can take those impure piles and put them in the steam centrifuge to get the actual dust. So this is going to be useful for things like sulfur, because we can take those impure piles and centrifuge it to get the dust that we need to put into the chemical reactor. Instead of having to do that ourselves, we can set this up to process all of our ores automatically. Actually, also totally forgot. I don't even know why I'm making rubber in this alloy smelter when I have this one that can bulk craft it. Just like that. Okay, well, I got all the materials needed to build the steam separator, but I kind of need a space to put it. And this whole area actually needs to be reorganized anyway. Let me see what I can come up with here. So, I've gone and organized everything. Kind of. Not really. It's somewhat organized. But I moved all of our solar power up here, along with the water pump, and I figured out how to get these guys next to each other, so that's not a problem anymore, and I can expand that infinitely as I need to, but then all that steam is coming into this tank here, and then going back around here. I know it's still a little messy, but it's fine. Our steam pipe travels along here where it's connected to our turbine generators for LV power, but then it also goes into the back of all these multi-blocks. I went ahead and built these steam separators so that we can get this going. Now that we have some impure sulfur, we can pop this into the input of our steam separator, and we should just get some regular sulfur dust out of this. I'm not going to worry about re-crushing and separating stuff like copper ore or any of the normal ores. The sulfur one is the only one I want to get the actual dust for, since we need that to make rubber. Hopefully this is enough sulfur. I just finished crafting the assembler and the chemical reactor, and these are the two that's going to allow us to craft wires and cables easier, not wires. But in the chemical reactor is where we're going to combine our raw rubber pulp and sulfur dust from now on. And the only reason I haven't finished the rest of this is because I want to make cables easier before having to craft more of them. And this is going to be cheaper than making plates, I believe. At least I hope so, because that would be wonderful. So this is going to make some liquid rubber, which we're then going to auto output to the assembler down below. And we probably want to auto output fluids instead of items. So that will go in there, and then we can add any of the wires we want to coat with cable into there. And let me do some math real quick, but this is 144, which is about the cost of one raw rubber pulp. Actually, I think that's way cheaper, because it takes 3 to make one. I don't even know. I think it's cheaper, for sure. So now we can make all the cables we need a lot easier, and therefore more machines and more circuits. So I also need red alloy. And then once we have the centrifuge crafted up, we're going to add this next to the chemical reactor. And this is where we're going to be making our raw rubber pulp from now on. We're just going to put our sticky resin into here. And we're going to auto output to the side. But I also need a drawer. The drawer is going to go on top because centrifuging this sticky resin also produces plant balls. And we don't want plant balls to go into our chemical reactor, so we're going to put these up here and eventually put a void upgrade on that drawer. So then we also need to set our auto output to the top. Wait, can we do both? Can we not do both? Okay. That's fine. I have a different plan. Centrifuging sticky resin also produces glue, and we're going to have this glue go down into a different assembler, which we can set with the fluid auto output, and that should all go in there. Using glue in an assembler, we're able to craft resistors a lot easier, which is another component we need for those electronic circuits. So instead of having to manually craft them in the crafting table, we can just throw some fine copper wire and coal dust together to get those much easier and way cheaper. In the future, we'll be able to use annealed copper to craft double the amount of resistors. But this requires an arc furnace and oxygen gas to upgrade our copper into annealed copper, and I do not have either of those things. We would need some more circuits for that. So with a puller upgrade on this drawer, we should be able to automatically pull any plant balls that end up in the output into this drawer, so that way we don't have to worry about those. And since this has that already in it, we shouldn't have to worry about any of them going to here, I think. Hopefully this will all work. Let's go ahead and try to bulk craft up some resistors now with our glue in place. Oh, and we can also craft resin circuit boards easier with glue. We just need a plank and some copper foil, which is made in the bender. And that is going to be way cheaper as well. Actually, maybe it's the same cost. Yeah, I think. But now we don't have to do the step of making the resin circuit boards. I see. So with resistors auto crafting and cables being easier to make, and apparently resin circuit boards too, I have to save a little bit of glue for that. So maybe I won't use all of it. The only thing we're missing now that to make easier are these vacuum tubes, which are also made in an assembler a lot easier, using the same ingredients, but now with liquid red alloy instead of anything, just there. But to get liquid red alloy, we also need an extractor, and we put red alloy in there and get some of that. And then we just have that go into the assembler and be done. Then we can craft circuits a little easier for now, because we're going to need a lot of them going into MV. So I think this is a good step to do as well, to add an extractor and another assembler. So let me get on that real quick. So I just got these last two machines I wanted set up. We have the extractor, which allows us to put in red alloy, and we'll get liquid red alloy out of this. And then we can have this output to the assembler below it. And in here, we can now make these vacuum tubes easier. Just throw in all of the needed components. And there we go. Now we can batch craft these way easier. And with all those components set up, I think that's where I'm going to leave it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.